Mr. James was not a famous man. He was not on television, and he did not write books. He was a simple school teacher in a small town. But in the eyes of his students, he was more important than any movie star. He was the kind of teacher who could change lives, not with magic, but with patience, kindness, and faith. The classroom. Mr. James taught English at Green Hill Middle School. His classroom was small, with walls painted and soft yellow, and big windows that opened to the playground. Every morning he arrived early, carrying a bag full of books, chalk, and sometimes fresh flowers to put on his desk. He believed that even small things, like a flower on the desk, could make learning brighter. He decorated the walls with words like hope, courage, respect, and dream. He also put up a world map and a board where students could pin their drawings or short poems. His classroom was not perfect, but it was warm and alive. His students came from different backgrounds. Some were children of farmers, some were from poor families, and some were from busy homes where parents had little time to sit and listen. Many of them struggled not only with schoolwork, but also with confidence. Mr. James noticed this. He often said, "Every student is like a seed. With care and sunlight, even the smallest seed can grow into a strong tree." The quiet boy. Among his students, there was a boy named Daniel. Daniel was quiet, almost invisible. He rarely spoke in class, and when he did, his voice was as soft as the wind. He always sat in the last row, eyes looking down at his notebook. His classmates sometimes teased him, calling him the Shadow. One day, Mr. James gave an assignment. Write a short story about your dream. The next morning, he collected the notebooks. That evening, while reading them at home, he stopped when he saw Daniel's story. It was about a little bird with broken wings that wanted to fly again. The story was simple, but full of emotion. The next day, Mr. James called Daniel to the front of the class. The boy's face turned red. He thought he was in trouble. But Mr. James smiled and said, "Class, today I want Daniel to read his story aloud." Daniel shook his head, terrified. "I can't," he whispered. "You can," said Mr. James gently. "We are here to listen, not to judge." Slowly, Daniel began to read. His voice trembled at first, but as he continued, something magical happened. The class grew silent. Every eye was on him. They listened to the story of the little bird with broken wings, and when he finished, there was a moment of deep silence, followed by applause. From that day, Daniel was no longer the Shadow. He was the boy who could write stories that touched hearts. And all it took was one teacher who believed in him. Other seeds. Daniel was not the only student touched by Mr. James. Maria, a girl who always felt shy about her accent, learned to read poems aloud with pride because Mr. James told her, "Your voice carries music." Liam, who often got into trouble, was asked by Mr. James to be the class helper. For the first time, he felt trusted. Slowly, he changed. Anna, who once said she hated books, discovered the joy of reading after Mr. James lent her a story about a brave girl who reminded her of herself. Each student carried a small seed of potential, and Mr. James watered those seeds every day. More than lessons. Mr. James's teaching was never just about grammar or spelling. He often told stories from his own life. Once he said, "When I was your age, I also struggled. I wasn't the best student, but I had a teacher who never gave up on me. That's why I stand here today, because someone believed in me before I believed in myself." He organized reading circles after class for those who wanted to practice more. He created a kindness board where students could write one kind thing about their classmates every week. Slowly, his classroom became not just a place to learn, but a place to feel safe. Even parents noticed the change. Children who used to complain about school now looked forward to it. They came home with stories of what Mr. James had said that day. The storm. But life is not always kind. One year, the town faced a big challenge. A storm destroyed many houses and farms. Families lost their homes, and some children had to drop out of school to help their parents. The atmosphere in the school grew heavy. Many students came to class hungry or worried. Mr. James could not change the weather, but he could give hope. He started a small project called the Book Garden. He asked his students to bring old books they no longer needed. With those books, he created a small library in the corner of the classroom. He told them, "When the world outside feels dark, open a book. Inside there is always light." Students began to visit the garden every day. They sat in the corners, reading stories about adventures, heroes, and faraway lands. For a while, they could forget the storm and feel free. But Mr. James did more than give books. He also organized a food drive. He worked with parents and neighbors to collect rice, bread, and milk. Every Friday, he quietly gave small food packages to families in need. He never asked for thanks. He only said, "We are stronger when we share." A gift returned. Years passed. Many of Mr. James's students grew up and left the town. Some became teachers, some became doctors, some started small businesses, but they never forgot him. One winter morning, when Mr. James was already gray-haired and slower in his steps, he received a letter. It was from Daniel, the quiet boy who once wrote about the bird. The letter said, "Dear Mr. James, I am now a writer. My first book is being published next month. When people ask me how I started, I always think of you. You were the first person who told me that my voice mattered. You gave me wings when I thought I could never fly. Thank you for planting the seed of confidence in me. I hope one day I can visit and read my stories to your new students, just as you once asked me to read mine." Tears filled Mr. James's eyes. He held the letter close to his heart. He realized that a teacher's work never truly ends. The seeds he had planted were still growing far beyond the walls of his classroom. The retirement. At his retirement ceremony, the school hall was full. Former students, parents, and teachers came to honor him. Some brought flowers. Others brought stories. Maria, now a teacher herself, said, "You showed me that my voice was strong. Today, I help other children find their voices." Liam, now a police officer, said, "You gave me trust when no one else did. That trust changed my life." Anna, who now runs a small library in town, said, "You gave me my first book. Now I give books to many others." Finally, Daniel came forward. He was a successful author, but he still looked at Mr. James as the eyes of a student. He said, "Mr. James taught me English, but more importantly, he taught me courage. He showed me that even if your wings are broken, you can still learn to fly. His classroom was not just a room of lessons, it was a garden of hope. Everyone stood and clapped. Mr. James smiled, his heart full. He realized that being a teacher was never about fame or money. It was about planting seeds, seeds of kindness, hope, and courage that would grow in the hearts of students forever. Conclusion. The story of Mr. James reminds us of the power of teachers. A teacher may not always see the fruit of their work, but every word of encouragement, every moment of patience, and every act of kindness can change a life. And perhaps the most beautiful thing is this: even when the teacher's voice grows old and silent, the lessons continue to live on in every student who carries them forward. Thanks for watching. Take action today, not tomorrow. Press subscribe. And let's keep learning together. You're doing great. See you in the next one. Stay strong.